Can you open the lights a little bit? And lights are got all this, I'd love to say I've got all this great technical lighting going on. Yeah. Hey, Scott. So let's set it up this way too. There we go. So I'm a little frazzly today because I'm still in the middle of doing some cooking because I decided to do my infamous protein cheesecake recipe, the baked kind, so it actually tastes like real cheesecake. And so Patrick's going to help me out when it's time to show you some things on MyFitnessPal so you can actually see me using the app and how I'm using it to plan meals. Hey, Dad. Hey, Rochelle and Nancy. All right, so today, first I wanted to start off by just saying thanks to everybody who's starting to watch the videos. When I first started doing the videos on nutrition and meal planning and those types of things, it was really because it was really clear to me that there's not a whole lot of information out there for regular people. So I am, a mom, I'm a parent, I'm a professional, and whenever I would buy these cookbooks, they would always have all these 12 ingredients and go to the store and buy this kind of chickpea flour. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm not really going to do that. So how do you meal plan and prep when you have a busy life, when you've got kids, when you've got lots of stuff going on? So first, thank you everybody who's been watching the videos. I hope that it's helpful. If you just get one or two things out of it, then I'm a happy lady. So pick up a tip, or you just like talking to somebody or seeing somebody talk online. Great. So I just wanted to say thanks. Let me elaborate a little bit on how I started to really think about, my hair is crazy, some of this planning. And I'm going to tell a story about a really good friend of mine, and I'm not going to tell you her name, but she'll probably know, and some of my other friends who know her will know who this is. So I love you. Anyway, so several years ago, I have a very, very, very smart, bright, let me just stress how smart this person is. 4.0 student, really, and right now has an amazing career with this gigantic company moving up in the world. So she is very smart. Just wanted to say that. And she was, had a gallstone or kidney stone or something like that. She had some sort of ailment and she had to go to the doctor. And the doctor was like, what are you eating? How are you eating? And you have to change your diet, you have to eat better and all this other stuff. And that's usually a lot of doctors' advice, eat better. And so she started talking to me, she's like, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, well, what are you eating? And she's just like, well, I don't know, and is this bad? I remember when we'd go to lunch, she would just literally hold up things and say, is this okay to eat? Oh, pause due to poor connection. I'm on Instagram. Oh, all right, sorry, let's try this again. Instagram world. It says it's still live. Okay, so she would literally hold up stuff and said, what do I eat? And it was really clear to me at that point that here we have this really smart, bright, intelligent woman who's going to change the world. She had no clue about nutrition because you just don't get that kind of education. So when I'm talking to my clients, I have to remember that I've had formal education in nutrition and fitness. Hey, Rochelle. Yeah, that I've had formal education, but most people do not get that. You don't get it as part of your school curriculum. If they do now, great, but they didn't when I was growing up. And frankly, even the information that is out there is half the time wrong or not good. So that's why the nutrition and macro part of my business and that coaching piece is really critical. And a lot of times it's all about education. And not only educating people on what should be doing, but also helping people unlearn the information that they've seen out there. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why I like doing these videos. So again, I hope you're getting a lot out of it. So today's topic is meal planning with MyFitnessPal. Last week, I talked about macro, nutrient, and flexible dieting. I'm a huge, huge fan of that method because it allows me to stay on track, but also not feel restricted. So I find this to be a very sustainable method. A lot of my clients use flexible dieting, and there are lots of different ways that you can implement flexible dieting that works for you. One of the things I also took for granted is that everybody, when I say, okay, go and download MyFitnessPal, a shout out to both my parents, my dad, who has done a lot of diabetes health education and is also kind of a gadget guy. Yeah. He's a gadget guy. He likes apps. So this was, he picked up MyFitnessPal, thinks it's pretty cool. My mom uses MyFitnessPal. So in my family, it's pretty ubiquitous. We use it all the time. My husband uses it, so it's a great way to just stay on track. If you're not familiar with MyFitnessPal, this is a way that it's an app, and you can have it for Android. I think I'm good, Patrick. Patrick was going to help me out, but I'm just going to flip my phone around and see if you guys can see it. Well, maybe not. Well, we'll see. Whatever. But it is an app that you can get on your phone, and it's basically like an electronic diary. So you can put your information in. It even has a barcode scanner to put the foods that you're eating in. So if you have, let's say, a package with a barcode, you can scan it, and it inputs all the nutrition information in there. Why is this helpful? Because when you're doing macronutrient and flexible dieting, you kind of need to know you need to know what are the macros in the food that you're eating. So MyFitnessPal has a gigantic database of whole foods. So for example, if you put boneless, skinless chicken breast, 4 ounces or 113 grams, it's got all the information in there. If you have a packaged product like diced tomatoes and you scan it, it goes right in there. So what I typically encourage my clients to do, first of all, once you get your macros, so whether you've received them from me as your coach, or you've received them, or you've calculated your own macros, you're starting to work with a set of numbers. The next step is to plan your meals using the macros. Now, there are 2 ways to do this, and I see Susie's joined in, and Susie is my one way, and then I'm the complete opposite. So some people like to go day by day and just say, okay, I'm trying to get my macros, and as I eat, I plug things in, or as I have little, so maybe I have some chicken and beans and a whole bunch of food prepared, and I kind of throw it together and then calculate my macros as I go. Or each day they plan out their meals. I am totally the opposite. That would cause me lots of stress. So what I do is I use MyFitnessPal to make an entire meal plan for my entire day and the week, including I have some refeeds or higher carb days where, my macros change a little bit, and then I can put that in. So hopefully we can see this on the app, but MyFitnessPal is free. There is a purchase version, but you don't need that. MyFitnessPal is free. And the first thing I advise people to do is ignore all of their calculations. So the only calculation you really need to care about are your macronutrients and your target. So again, if you've been assigned targets, use your targets. MyFitnessPal, I guarantee you plug in the information. I want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. It's going to say eat 1,200 calories, and that's too low for pretty much everybody. So if you're at that level, then talk to me or someone else who knows how to calculate macros and get your macros to the right level. So this is, I'm going to go to a new date so you don't see all my food. This is your food diary. This is not going to work. I can tell right now. All you see is a big white screen. Anyway, follow along. You've got a food diary. Well, I tried it, technology, whatever. So you've got a food diary, and as you add in your food, so Ezekiel bread. So this morning I had 2 slices of Ezekiel bread. I can search for Ezekiel bread, hit OK, I find my brand, or I can barcode scan it and hit OK, and there it is. It's got the calories, and if I were to click on the item, it tells me the total calories, number of carbs, fats, and proteins, or your macronutrients. You can also then look at your running total for the day by hitting the button that looks like a little bit of a pie chart, and whether you have a Android or Apple, it might look a little different or be differently placed, but you're going to look at that pie chart and then you'll see your running totals for the day. So what I like to do is build my meals. So for example, one of my meals, because, I was, again, tacos. If you guys have heard any sessions from me, I love tacos. So I take black bean burger mashed up with 3 Mission or La Banderita corn tortillas. And so I put my 3 tortillas in with my black bean Chipotle burger, and that's one of my meals, and I put that in. One of the things that a lot of people ask about is, what about a recipe? So my mom was actually asking about that because she got this great recipe for some sort of beefy cheese roll-up kind of thing. It sounded really good. And so what you can do is use MyFitnessPal to go to your recipes and build a recipe. And this is the awesome part. If you guys have never used this feature, use it. And I say this as I'm smelling my wonderful protein cheesecake, which is in the oven right now. So if you go to your menu and you hit recipes, meals, and foods, you have the option to create a recipe, and you have two options. If you have a recipe that you found online, like on a website, so my protein cheesecake recipe is from Built Lean. So I did find it online, and it says add it from the web. So if your recipe's online, they can automatically import the ingredients for you to review. So I'll type in the website for that recipe and it throws it in there. The other option is to enter the ingredients manually. So let's say you're making, again, like my protein cheesecake. I know that there's Greek yogurt, there's eggs, there's protein powder, there's whatever, and then I would enter each ingredient in with the correct amounts and say this serves about 4 or 6 or whatever the serving size is, and then it calculates your macros per serving. Then you can import that right into your diary. So that's one. There are two different ways. So again, if you have a recipe, great. If you've got just straight foods that you're throwing together, you put that in your diary. So again, the key is to use that nutrition button to look at your macros, and proteins, carbs, and fats are there. There's also information on fibers, sugars, saturated, unsaturated fat, whatever you want to see. So for example, if you're diabetic and you want to stay within a particular sugar target, great. You want to hit a fiber goal, so again, aiming for those 25 grams a day or more for most people. Or if you want to keep your sodium low, you can track all of those things and even look at vitamins and minerals. So there is a macros button, which looks then like a pie chart. I'm holding it up for, depending on, I got a phone and a laptop, that will also show you your breakdown in percentages. So again, I think that's less important. I mean, it depends if you want to make sure you're 40, 40, 20 or 30, 30, 35, and you're working within those percentages, great. But again, I think you just pay attention to those straight grams of macros. So what I advise people to do, if you're new to planning with macros, use an app like a MyFitnessPal. There's Macros Plus. There's lots of apps out there. MyFitnessPal tends to be the most popular. And just plug in your food for the day or what you think you might eat, and then just make adjustments until your macros end up where they should. And then plan your meals and prep your meals according to those macro targets and what you estimated in MyFitnessPal. So that is my quick lesson on using MyFitnessPal for macros. I think, again, it's really important. At the end of the day, I tell people don't stress about it. What we don't want to create is an environment where you are hyper vigilant about every single thing you eat. That's not necessarily a fun feeling. I don't think eating should be scary, or it shouldn't be intimidating or give you anxiety, because there's a whole lot of things that result as that come in as a result of making food all anxious. So if it's your first time using macros or tracking macros, just use this as a guideline. And it is important, though, to kind of write down what you eat. Most nutritionists and dietitians will start by saying, just write down what you eat, keep a food log. Think of this as your electronic food log. And the nice thing about MyFitnessPal or other apps is you can go back and look to see what you were eating, because there's some days I'm just like, man, I'm trying to meal plan and I can't think of anything. And then I'm like, well, a few weeks ago I had something that I liked. What was it? And then I can go back and look. I can also pull up some old recipes like, oh yeah, that, baked bean recipe thing that I did was awesome. What was that again? And it's already in there in MyFitnessPal, and I just make the recipe from there. So again, write down what you eat. If you're keeping a paper journal, great. Most people don't do that anymore. Use MyFitnessPal, track it, see what you do. Don't stress about it, but when you start writing down what you eat, you start to see patterns. Or one of the biggest things for my clients, my macro clients, is they notice they're really, really low on protein. And that's very common because we're just not used to eating some of the amounts that, at least for my clients, that I'm recommending for them based on their goals. And so then you can use this as a tool to make adjustments. So again, you're planning using MyFitnessPal, you're reviewing your information using MyFitnessPal, you're making adjustments with MyFitnessPal, but the key is don't let it rule your life. So there are times where I may not, quote, hit my macros, and I could beat myself up about it, but I just don't, because it's just not worth it to me. So if, I know that might be a sin in the bodybuilding world, but generally I hit my macros. But again, it has been a lot more beneficial to me to remove the stress out of eating and just eat and track. Just FYI, typically we want you to hit your macros plus or minus 5 grams for protein and carbohydrates and plus or minus 3 grams for your fats. So, oh, thanks, Renee. Glad you get comfy with MyFitnessPal. So if you guys have any questions about MyFitnessPal, or you're not sure how to calculate your macros, or if you want some help or want some macronutrient coaching, you can always reach out to me. So clearly you know where to find me on social media because you're already here. But you can also reach out to me on my website, figuredoutfitness.com. And another plug, I just started a newsletter subscription. It's free. And when you subscribe, you get my free meal guide for how to meal plan and prep. And it's a nice little guide that you can keep in your kitchen. And then every month I'm going to send some really great exclusive information to subscribers. You're going to get some great recipes and workouts and other information and fun stuff that's just for the subscribers. So if you have any more questions, I'm really excited. Continue to teach people and educate about meal planning, preparation, nutrition. This month is all about macros and flexible dieting. Last week was Macros 101. Today was using MyFitnessPal. Next week, estimating. So a lot of the great thing about macros is you can use it when you're eating out. And so the question I get is, okay, but they don't have a nutrition menu with eating out. Well, I'm going to teach you how to estimate when you eat out, or estimate when you don't necessarily have easy information at your fingertips. So that's next week's topic. Today was kind of brief, but if you guys have any questions, again, you can reach out to me. You can hit up question on Facebook Live, or you can reach out to me on my website, figuredoutfitness.com. But I hope everybody has a great Monday, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good one, everyone. And now I'm ending.